Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us at the Nestle Startup Pulse. We're really excited today for the session we're about to bring you on building and growing vibrant communities. And we have some of the best community and ecosystem builders with us today for this session. By way of a quick introduction, I'll quickly tell you a little bit about the guests that are joining us today. We have Saad Hamid, who is a community manager at Google for South Asia frontier markets, such as Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Nepal, and is responsible for managing Google's program and communities. He's also been actively involved in the tech ecosystem of Pakistan, working with communities of startups, developers, technologists, founders, and freelancers, as well as in setting up and scaling some of the largest digital skills programs in Pakistan, such as Skills First and Digi Skills. Um, After that, we have Mariam Arshad. Mariam has over 9 years of experience building communities of entrepreneurs, technopreneurs, and business professionals. She's a hybrid marketer, founder, and director of Impact Dynamics, an enterprise that creates customized entrepreneurial curriculums and runs workshops on tech and soft skills. Mariam also leads Google Business Group Peshawar. She's also been a speaker and trainer at national and international forums like Google APAC headquarters and Open Silicon Valley. We also have another Saad Idris. Saad Idris, he's the co-founder and CEO of Dr. Khan. Dr. Khan was initiated in 2016 and provides state-of-the-art co-working facilities to more than 300 professionals from all industries. And in a short span of 3 years, Dr. Khan has established itself as a hub for the startup ecosystem in Lahore, hosting rock stars such as Eid Mubarak and Kareem. And finally, we have Faiza Yusuf, who is a technologist with over 10 years of experience in building products and teams. She's an award-winning community leader and the force behind Women in Tech PK. She co-founded Code Girls, a community-funded coding bootcamp for girls, and also runs an online education program for blockchain and AI from Crypto Chicks Pakistan. She leads the product development wing at Asiano Technologies and runs a consulting practice with a focus on helping businesses in process optimization and automation. So like we mentioned, we have rock stars from the community today, and we're really excited to have you guys here. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Great. So we'll move on to the first question, which is if you could give us a quick, brief introduction about your community and how you actually ended up sort of like bringing it to life. And I think we can, who would like to start off? Maybe Saad Idris. You could. I have to make sure I.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. So Saad Idris.
Yeah, you could also do Saad Lahore, Saad Islamabad, or whatever you want.
Dr. Khan, Saad Google, and words, I guess.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, first off, thank you so much for inviting us. I think काफी मजेदार किस्म की discussion होगी. Really looking forward to it. So for us, community kind of came with the territory in terms of the business that we were kind of getting started with. So एक बड़ा unique हमारा एक तरह से vantage point बना हुआ है for kind of looking at the ecosystem, because initially when we kicked off Dr. Khan, we were solving a very specific problem, which was a regulatory environment and the capital environment back in 2016 was such that there were a lot of incubators already. Some of the key ones were already there, and they were pumping out startups after startups. They didn't really have any place to go. Or फिर having that infrastructure was missing, so that was one component. So उसको हमने provide करना शुरू कर दिया. So when we got into that business, we were kind of already approaching it with this kind of perspective of empathy to that very specific individual, which is the entrepreneur. So entrepreneur को या founder को जगह चाहिए. He or she doesn't have the capital to set it up, and therefore can't register the company, can't do business, etc., etc. So we were already approaching it with that mindset, and when we did, so from pretty much day one, we had this vague idea that it needs to be a place where people feel like they belong, because if you're building a collective, in the physical sense of people, who are getting together and who are working, kind of going off the beaten path, and kind of venturing into new territories and new things. So it's an isolating journey that difficult bhi hoti hai. So you need to give them like this kind of support group, this sense of belonging, of within that brilliant community of people that they're in. वो जब एक दफा हमने शुरू कर दिया, and then we started kind of watching things happen within the community, because you once you get a bunch of crazy people together in a room, and you start doing it and you keep doing it on a weekly basis, on a daily basis for us, things just automatically start happening, and it's like way beyond anything that you initially envisioned it would be. And then when that starts happening, तो फिर automatically एक adrenaline rush भी होता है, kick भी होता है, and that really for us in a very authentic and in a very true kind of way became the core that kind of we go to in terms of how we're designing our product. So हम space किस तरह से design कर रहे हैं, and you've seen a couple of our places as well. So like the layouts and how we're making it and how people are sitting and coffee stations कहाँ हैं और हम market कैसे कर रहे हैं और हम किसको approach कर रहे हैं and who's sitting there and what are they doing and what are the activities. So that was actually pretty interesting. So like we just kind of tried something initially, and then it took a life of its own, and then we realized we created a monster, and now here we are.
Perfect. So you mentioned how you started from a place of empathy and really thinking about the entrepreneurs, and that's how you really started off with your community. Mariam, you want to go ahead next and tell us a little bit about your story?
So I have a very interesting background. So 9 years back, I was representing my family enterprise. I come from a background family where we have our own private practice for the welfare of patients, very underserved communities. I was representing that in the Chamber of Commerce, and then good things started happening because community building is something I've always been very passionate about. And I take that passion from my grandfather, who has been serving one of the oldest practitioners in town. With more than 50 years of practice. And it's interesting because, his patients used to come from Afghanistan, Jalalabad, Kabul, Quetta for that matter. And as a kid, when I used to walk in the hallway, there was absolutely no room, to even walk for that matter. So I've taken inspiration from him, and I started building, a community of entrepreneurs through the Chamber of Commerce, being nominated as the head of, the Youth Forum. Starting from there, I strongly believe, Akash, that, when you're passionate about something, you attract the right elements, So Google Business Group happened in the process, it's been 6 years. I met Badr Khusnood, in fact. I remember, and I strongly would own this, that, we brought the presence of Google to Peshawar for that matter. And it's been 6 years now, and it's been recognized as one of the top 10 chapters in the world because we have built a community of over 2,500, members, community members. And with the process of time, because mentoring startups and building a community of startups and helping startups in different capacities, linking them with the right players in the industry is something that I've always felt as a person. And then I wanted to translate that into something that I greatly feel about, because there's so many incubation centers, there's so many accelerators, but one thing that is missing, a component is, of a custom design entrepreneurial curriculum. And I greatly felt that way, that is a need, that is an area, that is a niche that needs to be addressed. Hence, Impact Dynamics started in 2018. And, we have ventured into very interesting areas. We are working with directors, we're working with, the maestros from the industry through our visual storytelling bootcamp titled the Film Lab. And we have some great brands like Kareem, the likes of Jazz, Park Wheels, and so many others, apart from startups as our clients. And we started off with empathy at workplaces, and that really clicked when Saad mentioned, Saad Idris mentioned for that matter, he spoke about empathy. So we took a start with, empathy at workplaces, and our research has also been along that. So the vertical of helping custom design and creating custom design entrepreneurial curriculum, and then centering our workshops around visual storytelling, empathy, and areas which are often ignored in the industry, but are relatively of much importance to the startups. We kicked off with that, and it's been 2 years with that, and over 6 years with the Google Business Group.
Awesome, great. Thank you for sharing that. Saad, Hamid, you want to tell us a little bit about how you started off building your community?
Yes, sure. So for me, it's been, I think the first event that I can remember, which kind of kicked off the whole thing, was somewhere back in 2009 or maybe 2010. So it's been quite a while, almost 10-11 saal. It was again an affiliation with Google. So it was a small meetups that were being organized all across the country for bloggers. I used to be a blogger then. And back in those days, actually, that's how I know Jihan as well, because that's how I met Jihan in the first blogger awards, I think blog awards, that happened in Karachi. That's how we interacted for the first time. That's how the initial, so I'm part of the initial Twitter community, which joined in 2007. So Twitter के वो जो पहले कुछ users थे पाकिस्तान में, so we still know each other. उसमें like we know Awab really well. Awab को हम उस वक्त joke करते थे कि Awab भाई पता नहीं क्या आपका बनेगा. And now like his dad is the president of Pakistan, so you can see it's like, you know, how those jokes transformed into very, you know, like we've seen transformations over those course of years, and those have been very, very major transformations. And so वो blogging वाली community initial शुरू हुई, those were, you know, as Jihan is also saying, those were great days. But initial दिन था उसके Twitter पे लड़ाइयाँ भी नहीं होती थी, कोई किसी को बुरा नहीं कहता था, वो बड़ा एक small सा जो है group होता था. अब तो जाके खोलो तो आपको पता नहीं क्या लगता है कि पता नहीं वहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है. So it's, you know, it's very different now. But that's the initial community actually, and I think that is the community which then started off and then branched into starting a lot of different communities. So मेरा जो ज़्यादा focus था, I think I discovered TED at that time. So TEDx Islamabad एक मैंने शुरू किया. I was part of that. I still am to some extent a part of that. And it's been 10 years. That was a community that I was part of for 10 years that has stuck with me. फिर मुझे पता नहीं क्या शौक हो गया कि मैंने, you know, freelancers के लिए कुछ करना है. तो I affiliated myself with a company called Elance, which then merged with Odesk, you know, merged together to call something called Upwork. That was a community I was affiliated with them. I think in those whole years, what I tried to do was try to become the voice of the community with these organizations and be the voice of these organizations in front of these communities. So, you know, Global Shapers by the World Economic Forum, Akash, you're a part of it. That's another community that I was actually inducted in 2012. Abhi, you know, I still affiliate with them in many ways. फिर उसके अलावा मतलब see so many that I don't even remember. Payoneer एक point था कि Payoneer के साथ I was affiliated. And then recently, then I went on to start an organization called Demo, which still exists. They have a dedicated team. They work on a lot of community-based stuff. Right now, they're focused more on digital skills. I found my interest in, you know, more youth-oriented empowerment, especially with, you know, digital skills, and then moved on to this role at Google, in which I manage tech communities. So all the way from developers to now, you know, working with their startup ecosystem. That is something I do. So for me, honestly, it's more like it's like a job as well as something I do, you know, to which keeps me happy as well. But there is a lot of overlap, and I've kind of found eventually this career, or ये career के तौर पे not a lot of people take that. It's not like a known career, right? Like मैं अपने parents को आज भी जाके अगर कहूँ ना कि मैं community, you know, I am a प्रोफेशनल कम्युनिटी मैनेजर, तो वो कहेंगे क्या बेटा ये क्या हो रहा है, मतलब पिछले 10 साल से पूछते हैं कि क्या कर रहे हो. तो आज भी it's not something you can tell someone that you do professionally. But there are organizations like CMX, you know, worldwide, which are trying to form this into like a kind of a job in kind of like a career path. And what I'm now trying to do is I'm trying to help more people कि hey, if you want to go into community management or if you want to go into program management, I'm happy to help. I'm happy to share that knowledge because it's not वो ये सारी जो है ना कोई तुक्के वाली चीज नहीं. It requires a lot of understanding of relationship building at scale. खास तौर पे my role at Google, where now I was given new country Bhutan to manage as well. So I have 5 countries to manage. So it's close to 500,000 developers that have to manage at scale.
Right.
So you can't go there with that mindset of, you know, having one-to-one conversations. You need to think at scale, कि अच्छा मैं कैसे mechanism set करूँ? How do I have other community organizers? I was just having a call with my community organizer in Dhaka just a few hours back. I was trying to understand कि अच्छा वहाँ क्या challenges हैं, अच्छा हम वहाँ क्या launch कर सकते हैं. So I think the unique part about this Google role has been to do things at scale. कि community management or relationship scale पे कैसे manage करते हैं. So that's been, you know, just some of my learning so far.
Fantastic, really interesting insights going way back to when Twitter was a community on in Pakistan, small community of users that you mentioned. Faiza, you're up next. Tell us a little bit about your story.
Sure. Thank you, Akash. Mine is a bit different in the sense that the community was not something that was planned, and I'm a person with a lot of social anxiety, and I'm an introvert, so community building is not the right kind of role for me. But I started that community because I have been associated with different universities, helping students with finding jobs and finding role models and mentors. And at that time, a lot of my female students were basically looking to connect with some women who were already working in the tech industry because they wanted to see role models and they wanted to connect with other women. And that's why that was the reason that I started the Facebook group, and I kept it women only because the idea was that there are going to be only female students connecting with female tech professionals. And from there, it just exploded and turned into something completely different. So from that point, when I initiated that group, and then, you know, just started adding a few of my colleagues and my students there and just making introductions. From today, when we run like a fully functional coding bootcamp, to run an online training program, to working with Pasha for diversity and inclusion, it has been a very long journey. That's not my profession. I'm a product development expert, and that's what I've been doing for the past 10 years. So whatever the work that I'm doing in terms of community comes after my day job and after my consulting work. But I've been fortunate enough to find like a lot of great support in terms of people who are willing to spend their time and expertise, and in a lot of cases their money, on the causes that we are working on. So yeah, that's about it.
Great. So that's really interesting. So you just sort of ended up into it organically, where your students were coming to you and wanted to connect with professional, industry professionals. All right. So the next thing that I'd love if you could guys share a little bit about was how difficult was it to sort of grow your communities, and I think it's often underappreciated, the sort of efforts involved in building communities. So I would love to hear a bit more about how you actually ended up growing these communities that you're a part of now. And if whoever would like to go ahead first, please do.
I could start. Just
Sure.
so we could,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think wahi point aa jata hai ki I'll be very honest in, accepting here as well कि there are a lot of communities that I've tried which have failed as well. तो ये नहीं होता कि हर community जो आप start करेंगे, it will work in some way. I have seen some, patterns. There are challenges. कि community की अगर कोई direction ना हो, and the folks who are trying to be a part of it, they don't get the sense of what they're getting out of it, then the community will most probably not survive, or it will not be able to find a strategic direction, or not be able to act as a vehicle. So some of the good communities that I've seen are the sort of communities in which you give and you take. मतलब take कि जी आज मुझे इससे एक opportunity मिल गई, या मैंने किसी mentor से connect कर लिया, and then you give something. मतलब give इस तरह कि जी अच्छा मैं इसको अपना time दूंगा, I'll try to be a volunteer and all of that. But if there is one part of that equation which is missing, so eventually that person which is part of that community does not feel very connected. And when a lot of these members, they start feeling that way, so eventually things start dying out. एंड उसमें एक पॉइंट जो सबसे ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है वो ये है कि जिस like community needs to have an ownership, like किसकी community है, who runs this community, and you know what are the values and norms of this community, how often do they meet up, what do they discuss, what are the goals of the community. ठीक है, और goals कभी कभी organic भी हो सकते हैं. It's even like a WhatsApp group. तो वो आप और मैं देखें, यहाँ पे जो सारे हैं ना वो बड़े different तरह के WhatsApp groups का part है. और उसमें WhatsApp group में क्या होता है कि when there is no, I think, like sense of direction, yeah, sense of cause. So imagine being a part of a WhatsApp group which does not have any direction or any purpose to talk about. That becomes a WhatsApp group of, you know, mostly Pakistani uncles and aunties, I think, जो कि सिर्फ मैसेज फॉरवर्ड करते रहते हैं. वो ये भी नहीं देखते कि किसी ने पढ़ा या नहीं पढ़ा, वो कैप्शन भी नहीं सेंड करते. वो कहते हैं बस ये मेरे पास आया था, ये आप ले लें, आप देखें ना देखें, मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. However, on the other hand, when you have, like, you know, a community which is brought together with a sense of purpose, and that purpose can be vocal or unvocal. और बड़ी चीज की एक अच्छी example है, एक community builders का group है that most of us here are part of on WhatsApp. Now we know कि यार ये वो community है जिसपे innovators हैं, entrepreneurs हैं, तो हमने इस तरह की चीजें share करनी. So we don't share, you know, WhatsApp forwards randomly on that group, because there's like a community pact जो कि हमने vocally नहीं भी discuss किया हुआ, but it exists. So I think those communities only survive and grow जिनका इस तरह का एक कोई ना कोई value system होता है, और साथ साथ एक sense of direction होती है, and there's a occasional connection to the community कि hey, let's meet up, let's discuss, चलो मिलके कोई project करते हैं. But if these core elements are missing, so I think it's very difficult for a community to survive and grow. And yeah, would love to hear thoughts from the other folks on this.
Thanks for sharing. Anyone else would like to pitch in?
Yeah, I'll be happy to go next.
Sure,
so, yeah, talking about when you build communities. So for me, and I strongly believe that communities are built when you share the same passion for something. You know, you have the common shared of beliefs and you know, common goal, and you know, you collectively want to do something for others and along with others, because community is built by people for people, for that matter. Having said that, and talking about the challenges of building communities, so I mean, if we talk about, because the world is now connected online, and there are no geographical boundaries, like we all are connected today from different cities. So I think the internet has made things a lot easier, and there's so many opportunities to connect with people left and right who share the same passion as you. So that has greatly reduced the problem or the occurrence of obstacles happening, for that matter, when creating communities. But on the other hand, if we look at communities that are, you know, subjugated or, you know, defined by a geographical boundary, because let's say an event is at a certain place, right? Before, like pre-COVID days. So there have been multiple obstacles as well, in the sense that it's hard to create a community where, you know, where there might be a geographical bias, because, and I've actually faced that. There has been a case of multiple cases of geographical bias. Sometimes there's also unconscious bias. I wouldn't say all very easy. There is a lot of unconscious bias in the industry, working with, you know, a lot of people. But, you know, how you can come out of it, there's also a way of coming out of it. There are 7.8 billion people in this world, and the number is growing. And I remember mentioning this in one of my TED Talks as well. And I strongly believe that when you have a passion and when you talk about that passion, you will find a lot of like-minded people who will come and support your passion. So even if there's a group or a certain amount of people who do not believe in what you're doing, there will be a tribe. You will have people at the back end who will support you. So it's all about you know, trying to be very focused, having the tunnel vision, having your eye on the goal, and being very broad, you know, in your approach. Do not be myopic in your approach, because there are obstacles like the geographical bias or the unconscious bias, but I feel that can also be handled at the same time.
Great. Saj, Idris, or Faiza, do you have any thoughts on that you'd like to share?
Yeah, let me talk a bit about the problems that a community like Women in Tech PK, or a community that doesn't have like any kind of organizational support behind it faces. So the first problem is about sustaining that momentum in the work that you do. In our case, the challenge is a bit different because the community is based for one gender only. So the community is basically trying to build a safe space for women so that we can build up their skills, help them, groom them, and then make sure that they get integrated into the real world. So a lot of the problems stem from this idea that when you are talking about getting women included in the tech industry and you run a community that is for women only, that is one of the biggest challenge to talk about, because people are going to come back to you accusing you that you have an exclusive community and you're talking about inclusion. But I keep on telling people about that when we talk about inclusion, we need to do some kind of meaningful exclusion to ensure that that inclusion thrives. So for example, to be very honest, you would not tolerate someone who is going to create trouble just because you are saying that you are inclusive. You won't hire a sexist or a racist or a misogynist just because you think that he's also a human being and should be given that opportunity to work in your organization. So you have to do some kind of meaningful exclusion to ensure that your organization is inclusive enough. And that was the idea behind Women in Tech PK. So we do face this problem because at the end of the day, we are trying to just gather all the female technologists who are from Pakistan or who are working in Pakistan, and then making sure that we give them a space where they can talk. Because finding your tribe is really difficult, especially when it comes to women, and when it comes to finding women in your own niche. So that becomes a problem. Another point is that because we do not have any kind of organizational support, in the sense that there is no business associated with the community. So from tech support to hiring people to getting things done, everything is funded by the community. So the impact that we want to do kind of get restrained because we do not have enough funds or enough money to expand the work that they are doing. So these are the challenges that I see in the work that I do. And of course, we are trying to, work around them, but at the same time, there are few things that has to be tackled head on. So one of them is, of course, access to money to, expanding the work that we want to do. Yeah.
Perfect. And Sajid, would you like to add in anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic learning opportunity for me as well to, hear from all of these guys. Completely agreed with what Saad, Hamid, and Mariam were talking about as well. And actually, even more so with Faiza. Okay, I think like Faiza also touched upon something very, very important is कि वो community के अंदर absolutely right strategic direction needs to be, crystal clear. You need to be moving, with purpose towards a goal, regardless of, how big or how small that might be. I think that is still arguable. कि जिस तरह से, for example, the community that we're trying to build, and that kind of goes to what Mariam was talking about. We try to be as diverse as possible. So like, for one session, we'd have like a fashion entrepreneur or a fashion designer turned entrepreneur over. For the other one, we'd have a pure tech guy coming in and talking about Node.js and how great the framework is, just for that kind of diversity where people are coming in and interacting with new ideas and new types of people and learning from one another. लेकिन I think Faiza ने एक बहुत जरूरी बात की है कि it's also a very, very fine balance, and that's also, kind of something that Saad was talking about initially when he was talking about the original Twitter community, कि वो जो एक automatically भी एक कभी कभार हो जाता है कि when you have like a first batch or a first mover type of a community, तो वो and then you just keep wondering 5 years or 10 years or 20 years down the line कि यार वो जो पहला वाला batch था ना वो तो like Kamal, Killer, पता नहीं कैसे like all of these people got together, and it is natural कि like first movers they were all innovators, they were open to new ideas, they all got together शुरू में when no one really believed in the idea, they talked about great stuff, and then aista, like more and more people got into it, not to, sound exclusionary, in any shape or form. Lekin it's like a garden. You have to tend to it. Like you have to be very, very meticulous over time. कि आपका जो कम से कम core है ना of the community, and other people should, you know, have some access to it. They should have, you know, access to these talks online. They should be able to come and attend your events. They should be able to kind of come and interact. लेकिन एक वो जो core है, those people or those ideas really need to be protected, because that kind of really is the personification of the ethos of what you're trying to do. So एक तो वो वाली चीज है. And the other thing that I would just kind of add on slightly, और वो हमने you know वो इसी तरह से सीखा था, because again, like, you know, we were kind of reinventing the wheel and just kind of stumbled into that area and, you know, just kind of tried to push through it. वो ये था कि it's also about persistence. So, you know, you just kind of have to do it, and then you have to keep doing it and doing it and doing it, and like, you know, वो repetition से आपकी जितनी वो clarity आती है in terms of your strategic clarity as well, but also in terms of like who the tribe really is, you know. So like the first time around, you'll just have a couple of people getting together, and, you know, it'll be disappointing. And shuru ke jo wo kuch steps hai na, it gets like really, it really weighs you down, and you really have to kind of power through it and, you know, motivate yourself and motivate your team through it as well. Because then when you get to the third one and the fifth one and the 50th one, tab tak jo hai na, like you really have a solid bunch of people, and then they just kind of grab the ball from your hands and then they just run with it, and then you're just kind of trying to keep up. So wo wali cheez bahut zaruri hai. That's the only thing I think that I would add to it.
Okay, thanks for sharing your thoughts. So I think it's, you know, a common theme that's emerging is that you sort of need to band together like around an interest, and that's really what drives and shapes communities to go forward. So I think let's talk about something that might be on top of mind for a lot of especially new community leaders, community builders, or people that are wanting to sort of enter the space. One is around numbers, which is, you know, how important do you think it is in terms of growing communities, you know, by the number of people involved and that they work with. And the second sort of related aspect to that is monetization. Is this something people should even be thinking about monetizing or not? What are your thoughts? And anyone feel free to pitch in, please.
I could again maybe just start.
Sure, go ahead.
Ajha, just, you know, just sharing a few thoughts on this. So we've tried in my, like, you know, career so far, I've tried all these different models in which like I've worked with different kind of organizations or had initiatives of my own, some of which we tried to monetize, some of which we tried not to monetize. So एक तो पहला है question about, you know, the number, you know, number आपका grow करना चाहिए community का नहीं. I think number is like कहने को इतना कोई important metric नहीं है, लेकिन at the same time important metric है. I'll tell you why. Because at the end of the day, it's communities का जो बहुत ज़्यादा linkage हो रहा है ना, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा, like, you know, when you come to, you know, brands or organizations, तो वो उसको as reach देखते हैं. So they do not see कि अच्छा एक community ने क्या जो है ना वो अच्छा produce किया, वो कहते हैं अच्छा किसके आपने जो है ना कितने लोगों को reach किया. So reach वाला factor बहुत important है. So वो number एक लिहाज से important है कि आपकी community में कितने लोग हैं जो exist करते हैं. We use this in our internal metrics as well. Anyone uses this. मैं अभी आपसे अगर पूछूं कि जी Nest IO के overall कितने जो है ना वो entrepreneurs हैं, तो you would say कि अच्छा इतने हैं. मतलब that is a number. A number is something that, you know, everyone feels very proud कि यार इतने लोग हमारे entrepreneurs गुजरे हैं. So वो important number है. But at the same time इस तरह की metrics की जो है ना depth भी होती है, breadth भी होती है. So numbers are important to some extent, but at the same time stories are also important, and this is something we keep saying at Google as well, and that has been part of my personal narrative as well. कि for example इतने लोगों को हमने जो है reach out किया, इतने लोग हमारी community का part है, लेकिन वो एक जो maybe Android का challenge winner था, अभी recently we had a global Android challenge winner from Quetta. You know, that is no. So Quetta overall does not have a very, very big developer community. In fact, it has maybe, you know, one of the, अगर मैं पाकिस्तान में देखूं तो मेरे जो numbers में वो शायद 10th या 11th पे आता जा, but that story changes the whole kind of narrative for me. So that's why numbers are important, yes, but at the same time stories are also important. And the second question जो आपका है वो है monetization पे. It has to make some sort of a business sense. It has to make some sort of an impact sense. Business sense अगर ना भी आप उसको कहें, it has to add to the impact objectives of those individuals who are running that community या जो organizations इनके साथ partner करेंगे. और इसकी बेतहाशा examples हैं, all the way from tech companies to incubators, accelerators, them partnering up with tech companies. At the end of the day, हो ये रहा है कि both are helping each other out with some sort of an objective. So I think वो जो एक factor है, उसको आप monetization कह लें, उसको आप impact कह लें, उसको आप support कह लें, उसको आप sponsorship कह लें, that has to stay, because uske beyond they, as long as if the community ka jo objective hai, that's not a win-win for all the parties that are involved in it, it's like a partnership. So that that thing will not stay on for long, and that thing will die. So yeah, I think this is what I think about it. Would love to again hear from what.
Great, really insightful. Anyone else would like to pitch in?
Yeah, I can go next.
Sure.
So I strongly believe money is a driving force, and money can act as a catalyst. When you want to add quality. But having said that, we also need to understand the mandate of the community. For example, like in the case of Google Business Group, it cannot be monetized. But having said that, if a community is adding value, and value comes both ways, you're giving to the community and you're also taking from the community. I think that's a brilliant model for adding value, in which case a lot of people can take benefits through partnerships, as Saad has mentioned. We recently, launched a workshop series 2020, and we're partners with FISA, Women in Tech. Women in Tech has a vibrant, growing community of entrepreneurs, Sana Khalid from Minerva, and so many others, for that matter, throughout Pakistan. And it's very interesting to see the kind of what partnerships can actually do. The opportunity for so many people to learn so many things, the opportunity for people to get connected with other relevant people, to so many advisors in the industry. I wouldn't use the term mentor because it's often abused, and I'm actually against that personally. Having said that, I also strongly believe that, there's so many other communities, there's so many other enterprises that develop communities that can be monetized. And I will quote the example of my own enterprise, Impact Dynamics, over here. So we have a very interesting bunch of people in the industry that we work with, from people who specialize in AI and technology to somebody who happens to be a filmmaker, for that matter. So I think it always comes down to the kind of impact that you're creating, and also impact assessment, because so many people, so many organizations, so many communities use the word impact, but apparently I think insights is something that is missing, and impact assessment is something that is missing. As long as you're creating impact, also try to showcase the kind of results that you're giving, because that can be plugged in again into your work, and you can work further towards community development. So we're doing that through our entrepreneurial talks by the name of ID Chats. It's another initiative, and Women in Tech is also another partner in that. We're doing that through our visual storytelling bootcamp. And having said that, it is not often always about the numbers. So there are actually two kind of metrics that we're looking at over here. Numbers in terms of the number of events, and numbers in terms of the outreach. As far as outreach is concerned, as many community members, the better it is, because more people can benefit from the opportunity. But as far as the number of events is concerned, it should never be about the number of events. It should always be, and might sound cliche, but it's very true, it should always be quality over quantity. That is what we have always focused on as an enterprise, as a company.
Perfect. Anyone else has any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So I have a slightly different take on this. So again, I mean, we're very fortunate that we have the the revenue and the monetization bit kind of figured out as like a separate set of products and services in our business model. But like I completely agree on the monetization bit, that if it can be done, and also if it can be done in a way that is not very intrusive or doesn't really kind of cut into the quality of people that you can get involved into your community, and what kind of value that it can deliver, then absolutely 100% agreed that it should be done. As far as the numbers are concerned, I feel like again, I think Saad was spot on. Numbers are usually conflated with the power of the community, because numbers is equal to big partnerships, big brands come in, they see reach, they see engagement, and it's just interesting for them to tap into. But I also feel like, I don't know, like uh, the value that a community can really deliver, like 5 people or 10 people getting together, like the WhatsApp group that I was talking about earlier. I mean, just a handful of people, most of you are on it, and just kind of killing it, so like, I mean, will adding 100 more people to that group or to that community, add more value? I don't know, like if they're really, fitting the mold, if they're really kind of resonating with the ethos, maybe, possibly, yeah. But I also feel like, if you think about community um, as sure, a global tribe of people that kind of connect with the same kind of value system, but also in terms of like the whole community concept also is somewhat spatial. And if you look at the urban planning manifestation of the idea of community, it's also like you have these little neighborhoods and these little communities, etc., etc., and the kind of value that they share is protecting the people around them and the families, and how they kind of live together and take care of one another, and that has a drastic impact on the quality of everyone's lives in terms of their security, in terms of helping each other out, watching out for each other, etc., when times are tough. So I feel like maybe more focus should, like always primarily remain on the quality of people that you're getting together, and most importantly the kind of value system that they subscribe to, and then maybe having like really resonant communities, really powerful communities that are smaller and possibly distributed, but always talking to one another, could have more value. But again, like like it's very easy, and to um, kind of slip into that direction where Coca-Cola comes in and says, yeah, 5 लाख लोग चाहिए, कौन मुझे 5 लाख लोग ला के दे सकते हैं, and you're like, yes, मेरे पास 5 लाख की community है, and then you're the all in all. But I feel like sometimes the value that you can generate as a community doesn't necessarily rest on the number of people.
Okay, interesting thoughts. Faiza, would you like to add in?
Yeah, so on monetization, first of all, the kind of community that I run, numbers do not matter a lot. The reason because the community is, goal based. So we have around 7,500 members, and I think that's we have almost reached the point where we wanted to go, in the sense that there are a lot of women technologists from Pakistan there, and we are very careful who we let in. So there is like a whole process set up, because we have to make sure that we don't have a lot of troublemakers in the community. So numbers are not part of the discussion for us. But when it comes to monetization, because I mentioned earlier in terms of needing money for improving the work that we do, so a lot of partnership opportunities came up, but most of them were not aligning with what we are doing. So a lot of them would come that, can you post this ad on the community, we are going to pay you for that. Or some of them came up that we can create a membership site if that's what you're looking for. But at the end of the day, both of them do not cut in terms of moving ahead with the message that we have. So all the efforts around monetization that we have done so far, nothing worked for us. When it comes to measuring impact of the community or seeing how well we are doing our job, we basically have four matrices in place. One of them is that we see how many people are recommending the community to other people. So we keep track of the number of people who were recommended to Women in Tech PK from the existing members. Number two is that we keep on running a periodic survey about community effectiveness to take a look at the problems that people are facing within the community and what can we do to improve. Uh, Third is we basically take a look at the number of conflicts that come in the community and what kind of conflicts that are coming in. So people fight because of course it's a community and people have very strong opinions, even though we discourage talking about religion or politics, but at the same time, there are things that get involved. So we take a look at the type of conflicts that we are getting in the community and how efficient we are in terms of making sure that we are teaching people how to disagree with each other while being civil to each other. And the fourth metric is what we see that how active people are when helping each other. So for example, we do a lot of anonymous posts in the community. So it works that way that someone will come to me and say that I want to make a post in the community, but I do not want people to know my identity. So I'm going to make a post on their behalf. And we are usually monitoring how many people respond to that post and, help that person. People reach out to each other via email. Sometimes they're doing it via inbox, and we just make sure that we keep an eye on the conversations happening. So these are few very organic, very qualitative ways for us to measure what is happening inside the community. And I think when it comes to number or outreach, these things usually do not bother. We don't bother with that, I would say. Yeah.
That's really interesting because you not only shared how numbers are not as important to you, but then you also mentioned examples of how you actually track different metrics that then help you sort of like gauge the health of your community. I think further to your comment, Mohammed, Azib is also adding in that curation is super important, and just letting anyone and everyone in will increase chaos and reduce value. And steps can be taken to stop it as much as possible. So that's his comment on Facebook on what you mentioned. I think something really important, Faiza, that you mentioned that's come up is sort of like the aspect of conflict within communities, especially large ones that you run. How do you, manage to keep your communities from exploding? How do you control or manage this conflict, both within communities and sometimes I suppose it can happen even between communities or outside the community? So perhaps Faiza, you could start because you mentioned it, and then if anyone else wants to jump in, please do.
So conflict within the community, that is something that I'm really familiar with. We never had a conflict with any other communities that we have worked with so far. But conflicts within the community, and especially conflicts when you let someone go from a community when they're acting up, that brings a lot of chaos. So in our case, there was someone who was creating a lot of chaos in the community by telling people that they are going to go to hell for working outside of their homes and stuff like that. So we basically got a religious fanatic in the community and we let her go. So once we did that, she basically went on Twitter and tagged all my employers, clients, and partners, and then started telling them that the community does not tolerate difference in opinion. So there is a huge difference between difference of opinion and then being a total nut job. So so yeah, these are the things that happen, and this is not the first time that has happened. So people would go on the Facebook page and start ranting out that this community is creating a lot of conflicts in the household. People have called me and Shamim women who cause divorces. So there is a lot of chaos that happen because we are focusing on women's issues. So people come up with a lot of different ways for putting us down. But at the end of the day, we know that the work we do has a lot of value in it. And when it comes to conflicts within the community, a lot of times we do not police them. We let other people police them. So community works on self-policing. If someone has posted something that is not appropriate, other people are going to flag that. So it really helps because I cannot just spend 24/7 or other moderators cannot just spend 24/7, going through everything. We do not moderate posts, or we do not ask people to do to fill in any form or do any kind of information disclosure with us, but at the same time we make sure that people understand that the community does not appreciate people fighting with each other. And if you have a conflict, you can say that you disagree with that idea, but you do not have to start name calling. You have to be very strict with the rules, and then those rules also apply at you. So if I'm angry at someone, I have to be very civil as well. So I cannot just start ranting.
So being respectful and courteous of all of
so you
community.
have to create a culture to ensure that people understand that, and then you have to exercise that as well on yourself and the people who are managing it.
So accountability and kicking out people who don't abide by those rules. Anyone else wants to pitch in? Or we can move on to the next.
So I'll just quickly share my thoughts on this because I love this topic. अगर I've had the opportunity to मैं शायद पूरे topic की conflict management in communities पे करता, क्योंकि it's really something that I deal with on a daily basis. So खुद जो मैं communities manage कर रहा हूँ उसमें cases आते हैं. उसके अलावा हमारी community के किसी community के साथ somebody else is not feeling happy for whatever reason, उसको manage करना वो एक पूरा वो होता है. And we deal this in अच्छा petty issues से लेके petty issue क्या होता है, मैं एक example दे रहा हूँ. यदि हम कोई कैंपेन रन कर रहे हैं जिसमें जो है ना कोई स्वैग देना है, तो उसने डेडलाइन के बाद फिल किया था, वो अड़ गया कि नहीं डेडलाइन तो जो है ना पिछले दिन की थी, मैंने तो टाइम पे फिल किया, मुझे तो स्वैग चाहिए. अब इस बंदे को आप कैसे समझाएंगे, और वो बंदा बैठा हुआ पता नहीं किस शहर में पाकिस्तान के, उसको कैसे आप ईमेल पे समझाएंगे कि भाई आपकी गलती है, आपने डेडलाइन पे नहीं किया. सो सी ऑल द वे फ्रॉम दैट to my this is again a very interesting funny story. My wife getting messages on her Instagram of some third party person who wants to talk to me about some conflict, some conflict जो कि मुझसे डायरेक्ट बात नहीं करेगा, लेकिन वो जाके जो है ना किसी तीसरे बंदे को जिसका मुझसे ताल्लुक है उसको मैसेज करके. So see, all the way from being very petty to something very very serious like governance level issues कि यार अच्छा अब इसमें इस चीज का मसला आ गया है तो क्या करें, हाउ डू वी हैंडल दिस. मैंने हर केस में मैंने अपने ज़हन में कुछ इन्फ्यूज कर लिए कुछ वैल्यूज. तो उस वैल्यूज का मुझे फायदा ही होता है कि अब मैं उस वैल्यूज से इधर उधर नहीं जाता. आई जस्ट फोकस ऑन दोज वैल्यूज इन माय हेड कि यार अच्छा आई हैव अ सर्टेन वे इन फैक्ट हाउ आई विल डील थिंग्स. कि फॉर एग्जांपल मुझे बड़े लोग आके कहेंगे वो अच्छा वो आपकी कम्युनिटी के बारे में तो लोग ये कह रहे हैं, तो जब तक फॉर एग्जांपल कोई मेरे मुंह पे आके नहीं कहेगा कुछ, मैं इस कन्वर्सेशन को डील नहीं करूंगा. ऐसा सो आई हैव काइंड ऑफ डेल्ट विद these mental mechanisms कि जिससे I filter out the battles that I have to pick. So I am very choosy about the battles that I pick, and then the battles that I pick, I have to make sure that they go through a certain end, because it's not about my ego or me getting into it. It's about helping that particular community जो कि Google की हो या Global Shapers की हो या किसी और की हो, उनको help करने के लिए. At the end, I think बड़ा ज़रूरी ये है किसी भी community builder के लिए is that you have to have your certain set of values very clear in your head. कि जब भी आपके पास आके आपका कोई और member कहता है कि अच्छा यार ये दूसरा बंदा तो आपके बारे में ये कह रहा है, तो आप क्या करेंगे? Would you react or would you just chill till the point that that person himself or herself comes to your face and says something? Because I have dealt with this in community management a lot. कि रोज सुनने को मिलता है कि जी अच्छा कोई मसला हो गया या किसी ने किसी को कुछ कह दिया है. आई एम इन फैक्ट dealing a few cases right now on conflict, but it has to I think conflicts are always manageable when they are focused on values. And एक बड़ा अच्छा quote अभी मेरी उसमें reminders में आ रहा था कि it's more about courage than conviction. So आप जितना मर्जी convince हो जाएं कि अच्छा मैंने करना है या नहीं करना, लेकिन you have to be very courageous. Thank God मेरी थोड़ी सी personality इस तरह की बन गई है कि it takes me a split second to confront someone. So मेरे लिए तो मसला ही कोई नहीं है. I'll just reach out to someone and be like, hey, this happened. So would you like to explain or would you like to tell me कि ये हुआ भी है तो भी ठीक है, नहीं भी हुआ तो भी ठीक है, आगे चलें. तो I'm very fast with that mechanism, which for some people can take a lot of time, and that time can put them in a lot of pressure, mental anxiety, depression as well sometimes, unfortunately. So I think with someone who manages communities a lot, I think being confrontational but like very passively can help, and going back to the values can also be very helpful.
Perfect, great. So we've received a question on Facebook from Amna Durrani, who says that how can we find already existing communities instead of reinventing new ones? And I guess the question, also alludes to whether there's always a reason to create new communities around a specific topic if you especially feel really passionate about it, as compared to sort of like joining forces with another community that larger exists. So would anyone want to answer that question?
Yeah, I'd like to go ahead with that. I think it all starts with connecting with like-minded individuals. When you start connecting with like-minded individuals, you share the passion about the same subject area or the same topic for that matter. And, you start developing your network where, people from the same area or the same domain or the same interest, are all talking about a similar thing and are getting connected in the process with other relevant people. And I mean, whatever, speaking from my personal experience, how I have met people being in Peshawar is exactly through networking. Never hesitate, always ask. And I remember, I'd love to quote this over here. The year was 2013. And I had absolutely no idea who exactly was the country representative for Google. So I Googled that up and I found out Badr Khushnud is. I found his number on the internet and I actually called him up and I convinced him to come to Peshawar, and it happened, right? And that's how everything started. It was a snowball effect. I met Jahan the very same year. I still remember we were doing the WOW PK launch, Women on the Web PK launch in Serena, and that's where I met Jahan and Badr introduced me to her. So that's the power of connecting, taking the first step of reaching out to people, taking the first step of researching, and also, meeting and connecting with like-minded people, because eventually you will be connected to other people. It's more like a snowball effect for that matter. Yeah. I'd love to hear what others have to say on this.
Yeah, I actually agree 100%. Matlab, I think if you want to go out there and connect with like-minded people, I think like हमारे लिए भी ऐसा he that kind of dawned on us कि I think the default reaction for myself and for my partner Ahmed as well was always कि यार मतलब हम कहाँ जा रहे हैं, we're going to this conference, why, क्या फायदा होगा, we're going to meet people who stuff like that. And when you get stuck with that, so फिर like it's case closed, you're not going. Or you just really have to kind of keep trying and keep putting yourself out there, because every time you do, तो वो फिर एक virtuous cycle सा बन जाता है. Because every time you go, then you have that story the next time. Yeah, remember I kind of pushed myself to go the last time around, and I met X person and Y person, and that was so great, And you need to kind of do that again. So like Mariam's story is pretty incredible, because like it obviously took a very clear focus and kind of going after the right kind of person. I think Badr was absolutely spot on. He's always super helpful whenever you kind of reach out to him. Lekin even otherwise, like even if you're not as clear about what your goal specifically is, या फिर आपको क्या चाहिए from a particular community or a particular collective out there, I think like it never hurts to just kind of put yourself out there, interact with a couple of new people, and letting serendipity happen. And I think like honestly, jitna hame the kind of interesting stories that we've come across of people converting from career whatever marketing people or career employees to entrepreneurs, literally within a span of a month or two, just because they were being exposed to a bunch of crazy people who were doing a bunch of crazy things and had resources at their disposal. इस तरह की जो stories है ना, which weren't meant to happen but just happened, those are very interesting, and those are super powerful, and those are things that you can kind of look back on and say, yeah, if I hadn't gone to X place or Y place, so this could never have happened. Or I think like once you start putting yourself out there, and once you start exposing yourself to different people and different ideas, so फिर automatically वो network effect भी होता है, and then you get connected to more people and more people, because if you have some sort of a purpose behind you, so people start helping you out, and the universe kind of conspires to help you out as well. And then eventually you get to a point where you can then identify, okay, here is the ecosystem, or here is the landscape of activities or organizations or communities that are actually taking place. I feel like there is a definite need for something slightly different. And now I'm going to build my own community. So like that, if anything, if you kind of temper your willingness or your need to build another community with kind of exposing yourself to what's already going on out there, so that if anything helps clarify what you really want to do and what unique value you're going to be bringing on, because it's a labor of love, and in a lot of cases it's a totally thankless job as well. So like you need to be super clear and super, I think, driven and motivated to really take
Awesome,
it
perfect.
all the way.
So we're running out of time, but we'll take, I guess, another 10 minutes to answer a couple of sort of like two topics that I'd really like us to discuss. The first is, I think, really important for all of us community leaders and also aspiring community leaders, which is how, as what are some of the steps you have taken to grow as community leaders, and how do you manage that? And who would like to go first?
I would love to go first.
Sure, go first.
Number one, ask. Number two, don't shy away from asking. I mean, there have been so many instances, and it's also very relevant to the last conversation we were just having about of getting to know about different communities. So I'd love to quote this over here. So this is a couple of years back. I was attending a conference at the Valley, and the speakers lounge was a restricted area. And I was I was an attendee. I wasn't allowed to go there, but I gathered the guts and I went in the speakers lounge because I knew the person standing in front of me is from the National University of Singapore, and it's very relevant to the kind of work I am trying to do with incubation centers. And I walked up straight to him. I gave him my card and I introduced myself, and he was fascinated, and he was a little overwhelmed by the idea that somebody who just happens to be a participant had the guts to come and meet me. And the next thing I know is, he gave me a call and he said, come meet me at Sunnyvale, at Speed's coffee shop. And I went to that coffee shop, and till date, it has been 2 years. He actually calls me up on a fortnightly basis, and he has been guiding me. That's how I met my mentor. And I didn't know at that point in time that he's the guy who actually brought Oracle to Singapore and India as well. And he's a big deal. So what I'm trying to say is that, I think great things can happen if you start asking around, and you might receive no. And I think it's human nature. It comes as, it occurs to us that, it's more like a fight or a flight response where we are scared of asking people for what we want. But I mean, asking can actually do wonders for that matter. It all begins with that. There's no rocket science to it. But all it takes is a little bit of courage and the art of negotiation, as I'd like to put it over here. Also, I strongly believe, I think others can actually add in more. Yeah.
Great. So Mariam said asking is really important to actually grow yourself and your community. Anyone else has any tips for the audience?
So like we're also big believers in collaboration, honestly. I think when you put the objective front and center, and then you just try to add to it and add value to it as much as you can, lekin get out of the way as much as possible as well. So I think that really kind of nourishes and nurtures the community a lot more as well, because I think, again, we figured this out pretty early on. If Dr. Khan, for example, is trying to build a community, and we just kind of, we're the only 2, 3, 4 people behind it, and we're the only ones who are kind of pushing that, we're just going to be limited by our own whatever, our own, way of life, our social circles, the people we know, the people, the kind of, subject matter that we can add, and also the community that we have at the end of the day. So I think, over time, partnering up with different organizations, different people, and bringing them into the space. So, Devenings is a fantastic community who are our partners and who come in and who, bring in these really stellar speakers and a really tight community as far as technology is concerned. CMX, like Saad mentioned again, Abdullah and those guys are doing some fantastic work. Aziz and the rest are doing some, fantastic activities. So, we're just kind of talking to different people and just figuring out different ways in how we can basically, deck the odds in the favor of the community by, just kind of handicapping the process and getting more and more people involved and more value into the.
Great. So that's the second on partnerships, asks on partnerships. Anyone else would like to add in, or we can move on to the sort of next and final topic that I wanted to discuss, which is essentially how do you see the COVID sort of situation impacting what the future of communities is? Previously, sure, there was an emphasis on online plus offline, and geography played a really strong role, like Mariam mentioned initially. So how is the COVID situation going to affect this? How has it already affected it? Has it brought communities closer together, or are people more distant than we started? Anyone wants to sort of share the final thoughts, and then we'll close on this topic then in the panel.
I think I would like to go on this. So
Yes,
women in tech, so in our case, it's like dual effect in the sense that our coding bootcamp, we are unable to sort of start our classes again because of COVID situation. So it got really impacted negatively. But when it comes to the online community part, it became more active because people had more time and people were learning new skills. So we saw a lot of new, collaborations happening in terms of people finding study partners. A lot of people started, working on their business ideas. So these are the things that are really happening when it comes to women in tech PK. But the programs, the on-site programs that we have, or the online event, or the on-site events that we have, all of them got really, really impacted. So in Code Girls, we train around 220 girls every 4 months. And because of COVID, we had to delay the classes 2 months. And right now we only have like 40 girls in 4 batches. So from 220 to 40, it's like a huge difference. So yeah, so depending upon, which area that you take, COVID has a very different impact on that area because people are unable to, meet in person and do a lot of things.
So I can just quickly add similar to that. I think what we have seen has happened is now, shift online with Thai, but when you go back, so it's not going to be 100. So see what happened is there was 100%, let's say 100% may say it was more like 80% offline meetups, physical events, and 20% जो है ना online activities पहले भी हो रही थी webinars, ठीक है? अच्छा, तो after COVID what had happened is it became 100% online. तो वो जो 20% online हो रहा था वो अब 100% online हो गया क्योंकि meetups तो नहीं हो रहे. Now how I see after COVID is that it will be almost 50-50. तो अब online is here to stay. जो पहले 20% online था वो 50% online हो गया because online जो काम हो सकता है लोगों ने देख लिया ना, लोगों को आदत लग गई है, वो क्यों जाएंगे events पे. और 40-50% वही जो जब चीजें normal होंगी तब events वगैरह भी होना शुरू हो जाएंगे. But basically simple is that लोगों को अब online की आदत लग गई है, whether it's boot camps, learning things or even webinars. वो बंदा क्यों जाएगा किसी से मिलने या किसी पर्टिकुलर जगह पे, इवन टू एन ऑन साइट ट्रेनिंग, जब उसको पता है कि यही चीज ऑनलाइन हो सकती है. तो आई थिंक दैट्स व्हाट हैज कंप्लीटली चेंज्ड फॉरएवर. पहले जो लोग कहते थे ना, नहीं ऑनलाइन तो हम कैसे करेंगे, कैसे होगा, कैसे वो कनेक्ट होगा, ये होगा वो होगा, वो सब लोगों ने कर लिया पिछले 3 महीने में. तो पीपल नो A to Z. वो बच्चे हो, लाइक माय डॉटर takes her classes online, which is pretty crazy when I see her doing that. तो वो मैंने देख लिया कि it's just it has kind of changed consumer behavior and behavior of teachers. मतलब हर segment का जो पहले कहते थे ना नहीं हमारे घर ये इंटरनेट का मसला ऑनलाइन ये वो सबको पता लग गया. तो that's I think what has changed forever. Okay, now it's going to be a 50-50 split. In fact, I think it's going to be a 60-40 split more in favor of digital now. And events would be, jahan bhi important hue ya jahan bhi zarurat hui. That's what I think.
Okay, very interesting. Sar, Mariam, some final thoughts on that, and then we'll close.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I think I agree. Digital is definitely here to stay. तो वो तो कहीं भी नहीं जा रहा और वो ही है सारों ने अपने घर के इंटरनेट से ही करा दिए हैं. So I think everyone sorted out, the work tables भी पड़ी हुई हैं, everyone can get somewhere. लेकिन I also feel like I think one of two things needs to happen. I think one things normalize hopefully soon. So people are going to be a little starved for connection.
Human interaction.
I think,
yeah.
Absolutely. Because like right now, technology is there. So like, this whole one-way communication thing, fantastic, Zabardast, anyone can listen to this conversation. Lekin the whatever, 30, 40, 100, however many people actually tune in, wo unko koi wo nahi mil raha, So like, there's no deeper connection. There's no human element. They can't come up to you at the end of the session and say, great session, Akash, aur kya hoti hain cheezein yahan pe, how else can I learn? Maybe swap a few notes, maybe run an idea by you, in terms of, hey, I'm working on this startup and how can Nest help, etc., etc. Is tarah ki different cheezein, and then kind of peer-to-peer connectivity as well. So wo us cheez ke upar abhi tak, like one of two things needs to happen. Either technology needs to adapt even further and humanize the whole process as much as possible. Okay? Like I see this as kind of a Kindle versus physical book wala conversation as well. Okay, ठीक है, absolutely. Kindle is here to stay. Audible हम सुनते हैं. हालांकि आजकल जो है वो Audible ने सारी अच्छी किताबें जो है वो पुल कर ली हैं पाकिस्तान से for some reason. But it's definitely here to stay. लेकिन किताब आपको चाहिए. Like even if you need it for that, Zoom call backdrop or whatever. Lekin there's a different feel to it. There's a different connection to it. There's a longevity to it. There's a tangibility to it. So I think वो वाली चीज है. So definitely more digital. I think digital is definitely here to stay. Lekin abhi I don't think we're at the Terminator stage yet.
All right.
Yeah, so I strongly believe that technology has enabled more of a localized world. Everything is global, but it's local now. It's more local now, I would say. But having said that, I have a very different take on this entire topic because I certainly believe that technology is bridging gaps and we all have come together and a lot can be done through technology. But the emotional intelligence quotient is one missing. Secondly, I strongly believe there's still so many other domains that require a physical presence. So technology is important, will be incorporated to a certain degree, but I don't see that coming in every field for that matter.
Fantastic. I think that's been a really engaging and interesting discussion. I hope our participants learned a lot. Definitely some really cool insights. Jahan, you want to say add in before we end?
No, I just wanted to say that it's been an amazing discussion and I've learned so much from each one of you about the work you're doing. Of course, I knew what you were doing, but the depth of which Akash has been able to bring out is really interesting. And good luck to everybody because, the work that you do is actually impacting the lives of many young people. And it's amazing to see. So thank you so much for taking time out and joining us on the Nest.io Startup Pulse. And hopefully we'll meet again in person sometime.
In person, hopefully. Yeah. That's always more fun. Okay, guys. Thank you so much. Take care, everyone. And thanks so much for joining us.